مقدس عن تفهم الترتيب لغة قوسات كبير ونبيذا عقيدتي وطريقة وظيفتي. Apa memang apa ada sisa dan sempatnya sisa. Ada discussões que exaustion muito chave você pode dar uma mão que se você parar uma ah você parar uma vejo não me tudo com você parar uma você tá já tá já tá no logo que tá família não sei como vai ser nessa é você parar uma máquina você vai sabe que é chance ah que você não vai parar até tomar banho para 오늘 지금 진짜 이게 파티시고 그러니 스스로 생각하면 그거만 하시는 그래서 계속 인사이트한 지금 그 어떻게 문제세요? 잠깐만요. 안 왔어. 지들이 이게 몇 시로야? подождите, я 지들이 하면서 비즈니스 So, we will be beyond here. Прочтите слово достаточно. Представить план, выйти с выше земли. Yes. Maybe it's Yeah. One. Yes, we start. So, first of all, I would like to thank you for the kingdom. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Ahmed and I came from School Innovation YCM. So, I chose the topic the evolution of the detective in English literature from Sherlock Holmes to modern thrillers. So, it was a quite interesting story because when I was watching Sherlock series from BBC, I thought that this topic might be really good for research because there's no have material for pupil and students to see how this genre evolved from generation to generation. First of all, there's a conflict and the CE what will be introduction or model first influence, comparisons, recommendations, and application techniques also. So, Subject project is that I need to show the audience and all of the people that this genre has exceptional in English literature because it's started in 1850s and has evolved so much that every person will know who Sherlock Holmes is and how this genre has evolved in our country too. So it's really interesting. You'll see. Uh, so first of all, this topic is not only relevant in English, it's the origin, of course, but it reshaped the whole English literature. When you think about English literature, we think about Shakespeare and other, writers, but not Arthur Conan Doyle or Conan Doyle. That's all. So these detective stories came from England, most the murders in the Room Wall is considered the first detective story and mainly focuses on the crime and the main character to solve this puzzle crime scene. And later, everybody knows Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, is the one of the greatest writers. And he wrote Sherlock Holmes, the first Sherlock Holmes stories, The Sun Was Scarlet in 1887, and it was a breakthrough. Everyone was reading it, and English literature has seen that, has never seen this type of evolution from new genre. And after 50 years, the transition to modern thrillers came. First detective story, then blockbuster films, TV series with fight scenes, forensic science, and everything that stuff. And in 2010s, it has evolved to more like a psychological thriller with perspectives of both villain and the main character to influence. It's the combination of my research because English is the most important thing in both English literature, maybe in math, maybe in the science too. So it's the fact that Sherlock Holmes showed the Victorian era, which is the crime scene, class division. Sherlock Holmes went to the poor and to the rich to show how this discriminality is in England. So that can really perspective too. After so many years, everybody knows Sherlock Holmes and was reading it, seeing it in each of the there's comparisons. So you can see the plot structure, classic fiction, and modern thrillers. So especially modern thrillers are more flawed, traumatized, with much effect on the character too, both villain and the main character. It can even impact on the reader too and viewers also. Psychological suspense and trauma, corruption, identity, work with morality. It's more mentally ambiguous when we see that word from the modern novel writers and the detective fiction writers. Screen adaptations. So the first, the series is Sherlock Holmes again, Sherlock 7, rather than Genie, of course. Then the BBC Sherlock Holmes seasons we can watch for the got inspiration from this. Then he came Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie is one of the first golden age writers of his era, 1930s, Conan Doyle, Agatha Christie, Murder on the Orient Express. And there's a transfer applications. You can see the students researching, seeing the movie and at the library too. So when again, I researched that many students from our school also read detective fiction books, like I've never seen before or never heard of. So it's really amazing, when seventh graders, eighth graders was reading it, I was truly amazed. It's really good, There, it's really great. So, I want to particularly put the focus on a lot of ladies. You have never think that Kazakh writers is in detective genre. So when I was listening local library, I came to the Connecticut. Guess what? the father of our president. So he's the pioneer of contemporary genre. Yeah. Yeah. So he included games. Yeah, you know, people. So I was a teacher about and I came into these two books and I read the summary and it was really gripping. A really innovative way to put this genre in our local society. You know, bureaucratic division, corruption, societal views, so many years, you know, how can someone change after this revolution? There, I appreciate more than he writing theory. So you see, there is an even more Alan Batata was the primary evil there in 2020s. In that, what's called also writes Diamond Jaws. It's a really good book, showing urban area of Almaty for the mystery thing, you know. There's a detective and military. So it shows military, police, and the crime scenes too. So here you can see the roads as well as my evil is that one of and roads you can read if you want. So the conclusion is that yeah. Okay. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Why is your topic? What is the same as the scientific one? Is special. So special. It's special because not everybody talks about it. Everyone thinks when they hear literature, Shakespeare, or Conrad, yeah, kind of opportunity to do, but not text genre. Yes. Yes. And that's a very phone question. And what is the scientific novelty? Scientific novelty is that this book is literature is considered, you know, humanitarian book, but not science. But if you look into it, there's a forensic science used in this book. You know, chemistry, biology, to see how the case is solved in Sherlock Holmes. You know, fingerprints, blood, everything is science. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, any questions? To ask, you mentioned that you asked your students. Yeah. Their any kind of data for that. Yeah, okay. So it's just an, you know, I speculated from smaller grades, eighth graders. It's when I just looked at it in the index, like many books are books and other type of books. You can see about the applications that I even wrote it in the document too. I saw that thing and I just thought, wow, it's really interesting. So I think it's really good. Even without even more books in our library too. You too, yes. Yeah. Memories and etc. How did you identify those influences of the team? Oh, well, first of all, I like them with myself because it's really interesting on my perspective how I see the detective genre. So, just for the TV series that I got, and I was really amazed, and the English language level in that TV series, you know, so one of the famous idioms, fact, approach, techniques for crime. Everything that I'm bringing in Sherlock Holmes changed my mind into the English and I started researching it and studying English. So, yeah, I really appreciate you. Thank you for your. So, should I? Yes, let's start this this. Yes. But
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angela Rodriguez. What's the first grade students from the specialized graduate school from the Israeli. As part of observation, the connection between daily lessons and mathematics is very important in the 21st century. As you can see, it's the most skeptical today. That matters to visual and the automatic. See, watch, and listen, which and make them. And for the thing, the project of what's created a regular research process. This project helps to increase students' interest in learning English, Kazakh, and Russian language, and encourages their use in English lessons and everyday school events. Everyday school and developing students' speech culture, speaking skills, and creativity is very important. Therefore, the topic of retention is relevant. The aim of research, the aim of research work. Present here so far studies yeah, topics demonstrate developing and developing stress developing students engage in the stage culture and the listening and speaking skills, teaching the other adults, and then increase interest in English lessons. And then if the structure is then so far learning. Esse pode comprometer diversos different subjects, schools and subjects. It will integrate students with speaking skills and then it is a vocabulary and explains their vocabulary and increase their interest communication and knowledge. Demonstrationalities. The integration between traditional and modern digital technology offers an innovative learning platform that encourages language acquisition, creativity, and activity and communication skills. In this project, the Joker Run project and also its project were created to improve and encourage active participation, linguistic expression, and to also help the students to improve their confidence and the interest in learning. The importance of writing today. So today, writing is what most important tools of the day. It's practical accessibility, affordability, affordability. So when you can work in long distance hours without relying on electricity and without relying on internet, and it's most important. How if that it can work and then the communication well, also have a system won't work the right can work and can work right and it is independent personality in the time of access is free that right can off right can allocated for news, music, and competitive research that is mental well-being and instead of supporting furthermore the radio helps to really helps in economic development, developing in promoting in business promotion, agricultural information, and segment marketing. So in short, radios low cost accessibility, and affordability would serve as an indispensable tool for communication and the cultural communication too. As part also research was conducted and studies to explore the activities towards the school and other project. The data shows students have a project trees list it was 93.5% respondents in our school reported indicating development be received by the technology. This survey 90. This indicates that 93% of participants will use a mobile application. Mobile application being one way present to software, while 97% of the sector. As I said before, the weather project, the question will say has created several approaches and improvements. Consistent linkage of our website and the you can go to many sections and you can see several topics on there. So this all they all contain that percentage of our school. So for example, we can for example our website on the business page and then when you first open, you can use it provided with what about the rest of our presentation. When you play the press when you press the play button, you can program yourself in English. 2025. Okay, so as you can see, and and also it will provide with video in this concept there are videos too, 10 minutes. And then using this card, this provide you can take a look in our screen. Let's see. Conclusion. Our results invite this research work. The history of what is here. Ему рассказать про название, we are significant in the country examines the influence of studies of reality and communication in the cultural awareness. This full basis This is why one in line with unit. Line with research goals. Okay, the importance of our project one evaluation should feedback from the student and from the students and the teachers and the survey. And the development of our website to develop our students' language and thinking skills was direct and because the website was successful design and implemented as a digital learning platform. And in the future, and in the future, we have the goal of developing this website not only in our school but also in every school in our country, but while also adding other functions that could be useful and while also making a mobile application and that could be really motivational, content motivational for students and also for teachers. Because in our website we have the news not only for students but also for teachers. And the use of our website that while looking at this news, our students could be ready. Yeah, and say like to encourage to perform better and be on this awareness. Thank you.
How about to describe me the guy?
There.
Yeah. Survey, right? And how do you retrieve the percentage of this survey?
Oh. Yeah.
There.
Uh-huh. So this
This one, yeah. And how do you retrieve the percentage of this survey?
So this is diagram I'm showing
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So now percentage, basic mission.
So this one is from send the links to our student. So and it is our document there are information about physical group and send and teachers and students like participating and one so I'm sure that will take that. So we said that your project right affects students' critical thinking, communicative and speaking skills. How did you check that? So how did you come to that conclusion? Does it affect especially the speaking skills? Not listening skills. Speaking skills. So in our schools we have a project. So that it's a project where we'll invite guests, our teacher and our teacher also is a student. And in this project, it's also like kind of the two of like project project. And in this project, the students can ask questions in English to the group. And so like it's they will put any type of question to the group and like this what about the critical thinking? How do you assess it? Critical thinking in they had also like debated with each other like and with that. So I'm fine to it has host table they do that in that and you know what you do. Yeah, I think at the beginning now yes. It's probably because he's going to need to begin to I'll be back. You can tell us anything. No stars.
Good afternoon, dear viewers of scientific competition. So first of all, thank you for this chance to perform here. It's an honor to present my project today. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Abdulrahman. I came from Arts and Innovation, Malaysia. So today I want to present my major findings on social inequality inside the Hans Collaborators and the child against great expectation. So why did I choose this topic? The relevance of this topic is clear. Social inequality is one of the most pressing issues in human society. No matter which country or which country we examine, we see how poverty, class divisions, and injustice shapes people's life. On the zero of these two novels, both authors made it clear and easier to us understand. So my work has three main goals. So the first one is to analyze how social inequality is shown in two novels, and the second one is to compare the output methods in different contexts, and the third one is to show how literature is inspired and justice and critical thinking in human. So let me first speak about Scientific Congress. The Scientific Congress was written in 1940, and it tells the story of young black woman named Protagoras, who lives in the 20th century of Kazakhstan. And Protagoras suffers from oppression and injustice in early Kazakhstan. Throughout the novel, author Scientific Congress makes us clear that rich landowners and the colonial rule of Soviet Union and that year makes us clear and affect the moral stability and the mental health of human at that time. So the second one is Charles Dickens' Great Expectation. Charles Dickens wrote it in 1861, and it tells the story of a young boy named Pete. He's a poor boy who dreams of becoming a gentleman, and throughout his journey, he faces the illusion of money and the wealth. But eventually, at the end of the novel, author Charles Dickens explains that the true values are not not estimated by money, but by love, by honesty, and loyalty. And the author Charles Dickens, by Pete's journey, as the rigid path system of Victorian England at that time in 19th century. Also explains us about vividly about social inequality at that community. So theories, here I come to my culmination, the most interesting part of my project, which is compared between two great novels. So the first and then Great Expectation. As you can see in this table, there are four aspects that just focus on the story, main characters' role, gender roles, and the causes of the economy. So let me come with the focus. So the author, Sabine Hans, tells the collective struggle of whole Kazakh nation at that time. As we know, Sabine Muhammad is 20th century writer, and he also wrote about social inequality at that time of Soviet Union colonial rules, and also the rich landowners and peasants class division as how they treat themselves. So, Sabine Muhammad refers to a special word about rich landowners, which is come from Kazakh language like Bai. As you can see, in the presentation, the child Dickens only reflects in individual growth. As I told you, the main character is a young boy reaches two dreams of economic adjustment. So it's a difference that some people can't tell them about others. While the game expectation is the individual growth. As you can see in main character's role, it is Sabine Hans, a young woman. And so woman who faces and tells complaints to the rich landowners, while in great expectation it is a poor boy who's seeking of becoming a gentleman and fights for own dignity. Gender roles, as you can see, David Muhammad makes clear that woman is the one who leads the struggle of his nation, while in great expectation, in the novels, Charles Dickens reflects only women such as society's flaws. If you take an example, the misconception from a novel when he humiliates a young boy. So let's come to the one of the most important parts. of my project, which is the practical part. As you can see, in this part, I have conducted a survey among high schoolers from our district, from 7th grade to after 11th grade. So the survey was conducted by Google Form platform, and there were three questions. So the first question was how do you think social inequality is still relevant nowadays? And the second question was how do you think Charles Dickens and Samuel Hunt makes us easier to understand social inequality at that time? And so, as you can see in this bar graph, which is made by Google Pixel platform, it is a platform that can calculate the number of students and how many they have a grade. So at the end, so the survey was sent to each class supervisor that have asked them to send to class group chat. So after 1 week, the results came in. The results were popping because around 210 students have answered the survey, and the number of agreed with my opinion that a social inequality is still relevant nowadays were shockingly high, as you can see in this graph for each grade. So let's move on. It's also one of my practical parts, which is the experiment. So I have conducted a small experiment among 10th grade from our lesson. So there were four volunteers who wanted to play a scene, especially two novels. So the first scene was when Pelagos came to rich landowner's house and it tells the collective struggle of his nation. And the second scene was when young boy thief was humiliated by Miss Hampshires, who is a rich woman at that time in Victorian England. So the main point of the experiment was when the students so uh, when two students played the exact scene when someone played the poor boy, when the second one played the rich landowner. Yeah, and then after some time, they would change their roles, and I have noted the emotions that they have felt. The emotions they felt. And surprisingly, the student who played the poor boy felt anger and anxiety, and but the student who played a rich and older felt powerful and uncomfortable because he was not like a person, and he had a thought like he can treat him as an inferior people at that scene. Here's a documentation where I researched our global library. As you can see, there's a book of science parts, other books such as Charles Dickens' Representation, all books about social inequality in our library. So here comes some conclusion. In conclusion, my research shows that what I was on the Great Expectation, despite being written in different times, different countries, raise a universal problem about social inequality, like social inequality about injustice, human dignity, or honesty. So these facts and the experiments and so far facts, this is a proof that literature is a powerful tool for understanding the society and for fighting for its own dignity. Thank you for your attention, and I will answer my questions.
Okay. I have a question. Have you made an analysis of Otago's and Green expectations? What similarities and peculiarities did you retrieve and find out?
So the similarities were, as I told you, the two novels have 100 year around when they were written. As I told you, Sabine wrote this book in 1940, but Charles Dickens wrote it in 1861. So you see the 50 years, but raising the problem of social inequality is still relevant at that time, no matter it is a galaxy or Victorian England. So the similarities were the raising a social global problem.
There is peculiarities.
So peculiarities, I don't understand here. The what? So the peculiarities were from Soviet Muhammad. It tells about the Soviet Union's colonial rule at that time. As we know from the history, the Russians are classic inferior because they have landed our land, landed our land, and status of rich man on poor business such as botanos is very great.
Yeah, that's clear. Thank you. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hoje
شوف فان دايمز بقى فان دايمز بقى
so everything stated. Thank you very much.
So the business
Purpose and objective of the studies. The purpose of the studies is show how area help students improve their English skills and skills. It focuses on fluency, communication, pronunciation, confidence in communication. The study also looks at how the benefits and challenges of using a new language, the language learning. Speaking is one of the most important skills in language learning. It equals fluency, pronunciation, vocabulary, and the ability to interact with others. Working skills help students more succeed in school and social life by improving communication. For practice work, I studied in my school. My classmates are using artificial intelligence apps. For example, that's ChatGPT, Gemini, Duolingo, and other apps. These more are very helpful for our in conclusion, use awareness for improving skills and building confidence. They allow students to learn at their own pace and receive quick feedback. So we use together with traditional teaching for the best results.
Please tell us more about the research uses study physics. How did you study the students? Still studying certificate of music.
Inovasi осындай қолданбаларын қолданып олармен пайдаланады.
Жұмыстан бері жеті күнде жұмыс істейді.
Duolingo, ChatGPT, Gemini, quiz,
How do you use the mathematics to improve speech and speaking
Duolingo'da ол өздері сөздерді береді және де олар қолданудың жауаптарын
How to in YouTube change the way students so way teenagers learn English. What is also if they YouTube social media platforms such as TikTok and the YouTube have become more focused not only for entertainment but also for education. Users spend a significant amount of time engaging with videos, tutorials, and interactive content, which influences the way they actually knowledge using foreign languages. Unlike traditional methods of learning, these platforms provide language experience, visual and auditory input, and user communication perspective. Therefore, currently, our tutorial on user learning is highly related in the context of digital education, which power and progress. Despite the popularity of innovators, there is a need for academic research on how these platforms, especially after teenagers use learning focus. The ground lies and inspired with the use of such platforms, people branch to cognitive instructions that videos learning techniques and the purpose of the people around the influence the development of teenagers and the language skills. Cognition, vocabulary, association, pronunciation, approach, and demonstration. There are a lot of creators in social media, transforming the way students access knowledge and communicate is one language. Writing and music provide learning opportunities in their with thousands of speakers and the global community. Unlike traditional farming methods, social media platforms feature only environmental damage and the continuous execution without ownership. However, social media increases learning engagement, motivation and collaboration, inclusion, making technical documents for education. How acquisition, your and digital learning. Here, language acquisition, your defining affiliate digital learning enrollment. According to fashion tables, hypothesis in the concept equal to essential for language acquisition, TikTok and the video clever, such as human image report, works such as outdoor theory, and parameters interaction in learning, which are which digital platforms that are which share the current content. Influence of audiovisual material on language skills. Audiovisual material, environmental and audio engine, which makes learning language more effective and environment. Consider this have been improved their listening comprehensive communication and vocabulary acquisition, retention, reading and communication of speech, family for influencers, and the native speaker, fully developed fluency. Additionally, audiovisual content provide cultural insights, helping learners understand the realities of life, especially the aspects of communication. Can value public characteristics study regular practical communication in your way needed for English books platform increase awareness, motivation, interest, exposure to economic branch and the English vocabulary utilization and fluency. While in more benefits of engaging and and provide further learning, user experience, in systematic practice. Gracias a Dios, complementar el involvement de la escuchando su idioma, informa de nuestra
what is the aim of your work? In order to reach the aim, what objectives are selected? Quindi massa di questo soggetto scambio di media e
anche bene, a fare ma da volere. So really, I mentioned Diana, and today I would like to start my research on the topic of shadow TV. And I chose this topic because of my own journey of learning spoken English. And I have to say that it was never easy to me. And so in school, I noticed that we usually focus more on grammars, reading tests, really speaking and listening. And even though we practice speaking in a class, we usually just go by those old-fashioned sort of that old-fashioned methods, which is retelling the whole text or answering the questions that were given on the book and so on and so forth. And because of that, I've seen a lot of students graduating from school without saying a word in English with enough confidence and pronunciation. Even because I felt like I didn't have speaking practices, in order to solve that problem myself, I started to search for some methods. And this is the best problem. The shadowing technique helps you to improve your pronunciation, fluency, and listening. Long story, okay, and also here's a take a look at my IELTS score. As you can see, my highest score is from speaking, which is 0.7, and I think this is the outstanding proof that challenging can work. Introduction shadow technique is a language learning method that helps that involves listening to a native speaker and simultaneously repeating or mimicking what they say as quickly and closely as possible. What this method helps improve pronunciation, intonation, listening skills, and fluency. So how it works? First step is to choose an audio. If you're recording in the target language, it can be podcast, audios, or dialect, because English people, you know that they love to express their emotions through when hosted. And third step is process delivery to keep the process until you feel more comfortable with the material. So the first step is optional, it's for the beginners. Break it down after each sentence, focus on tricky phrases, and practice them before shadowing. About the process of my scientific work during the origination of the research process, I invited students from grade 7, 8, 9, and 10 to our local librarian school and introduce them to the shadow. And the concept of it is introduction, introducing shadow technique and selecting the members, determining their level and treatment time to the album together, using and demonstrating the shadow technique. So here's the statistic of my work, which is most list numbers. Well, share video. The clips of my students. Well, first technology. First, fosters enjoy tasks. Great. Thank you. And according to the results of all my students, here's some statistics. And as I said, there were 10 students in my research at first, and there were 70% of them reported that they improvements in their speaking and pronunciation, and 50% of them reported that it was much easier to understand the materials that were given on the listen. And only 15% of them reported that they still face some difficulties, but there is well, time shows what will come. So in conclusion, after continuing to integrate shadow teaching into my methodology, I plan to focus on refining my approach, making adjustments based on students' individual progress. I also suggest to implement this method into our educational system to make English speaking much more accessible. And as you can see, it's low cost and really interesting. And if you can see, the students are really different nowadays. So as soon as we have like futuristic problems, we should also give them futuristic solutions. So that's my point. We have helped you so
Don't you hear that? Listen to my part a lot. So, what is the result of your work? And how did sharing technique help you and your classmates in learning English?
Well, the result of my child's sense of music methodology is me passing an IELTS exam in speaking with a point 7 score. As I showed in the beginning, also it does not well. There were students from 7th grade to 10, and we divided and we provided some uh, experimental things that I showed you from the video. And also at the end, they give some feedbacks, but I couldn't provide because of the time limit. They said that it was such a great experience, and some of them reported that as soon as they're practicing their channel, they to listen to their favorite celebrities interviews, and they reported that they can hear like English content in original without subtitles. So that's the total.
Thank you for any questions. Just your
Sure.
and how to it. What's the favorite speaker or that's what you watch knowledge to
Well, yeah, thank you. Well, for me, it is really funny, but it was Kim Kardashian. Yes, I really like the way how she talked, the accent, and the drama that they made in their shows. And I just didn't really did it in well, officially. I just watched this short clips on TikTok and just made fun of her, made jokes with how they turn the small things into a drama. So that's how it worked.
Yeah.
So may I ask you look here that you use experimental methods for groups. Do you teach? I do not, but maybe in the future. But here in research, you said that you implement because I perform a speaking club. I teach there with students. So also at the end of the results, you concluded that the students said their pronunciation became better. But how can you consider it as a good answer because they are not teachers, they cannot assess if they are speaking or if their pronunciation became better. Just for the way that how they talk with the confidence. Like just comparing the beginner's level, and then the way how you talk after.
Okay. Let me go to your question. It's a reason again, this big. Computer, Allah olarak uluslu akılları indirim. Vizyon indirim. Akılları indirim. Güneş balığı yaparlar. Yazmanızda. Sasuye sılır diye insanlar. Sonra bir geliyor. Bir şekilde şimdi kişi de ayrılmasın bir şey. Bir de namazlar ve namazlar. Yeah. Thanks everyone. My name is Kumara Allah. I am very pleased to be talking to you all today. The topic of my presentation is educational value of languages in English language. So this part is about the main topic of my presentation. I want to explain my presentation in a simple and clear way. And here I will explain you about introduction, main part of research development, conclusion, and also about their references. So here I will give you some background information. Uh, it helps us understand why this topic matters. So in Asian cultures, mythology is a purely global basis on hotels and also it explains the world and Buddhist traditional behaviors. Asian cultures often repeat in many cultures many common figures like shamans, tricksters, and goddesses, and it's not about the origin of people, their battles, their heroes, their life, and also about the end of the world. So, on this page, for the first point, it demonstrates how the struggles happen in real life. So, English customs are full of legends, and the Tower of London is the most famous. It's our exertion and suffering. When the legend says that, as long as Black House living there, the Tower of London and the England will stand. So now I want to explain that how we changes. Mythology is an early version based on folk tales with many traditions in Greek, Roman, Scandinavian, Slavic, and British cultures. So, the legend of King Arthur is a significant part of English mythology. It appears in the Middle Ages and tells about the Arthur living in the also maps of the round table. Actually, this part is more literal information, and here I want to share my personal opinions. English mythology tells about fairies, mystical beings that can be kind or evil, beautiful or ugly. Fairies are supernatural beings that with many different forms and characters. And next is God's State comes from a legend of forbidden love in ancient Rome, and the story says that in Emperor Paul II banned marriage, so men would be soldiers. Uh, Next, Valentine helped to robbers, and his memory is now celebrated on Valentine's Day. And many myths and legends are valuable for all people and for all cultures.
And by the way, they also make learning English more interesting and useful way. So thank you for your attention. I hope my presentation was interesting for you all, and I will be happy to answer your questions. Your opinion is very important to me.
Yeah, what English legends did you read?
As I say,
What is research?
um, results is uh,
You said this.
um,
Well, if you read these legends also. And
yeah, I'm actually I didn't read any kind of
you did research for why did you read
uh, all the words that I
in
also you provided a table here, quiz and the values. So how did you assess these values? You have a list how you put mine. Find my example, how do you how was it? So is there an answer in that? Actually, I researched it in the social media and I read it and write it in this science fiction.
you just copy it, you know, right? Then you go.
The podcast. Is that a second? There's one thing. Since was almost like a
In June and all participants, where's the ninth grade first of school time? Well, how to start that? Today we're going to present our scientific project called Exploring the Benefits and Trouble of AI Basic English Learning.
In era of technology and artificial intelligence, we follow the theory of President John Biden and the trend to improve English learning.
The topic is highly relevant as AI tools are becoming incredibly effective in English language. It offers personalized support, instant feedback, and trust. In our research, we have investigated several AI-powered platforms in detail. The purpose of our project is to identify which AI platforms are convenient for different domains. As we know, AI tools are becoming very popular in English learning. Or example, essential tools in English learning. It helps access materials anytime, get instant feedback, and study at your own pace. We explored advantages and disadvantages of AI-based English learning. And let us explain how each of them works step by step. Duolingo is very convenient for different types of AI tools and it helps beginners and visual learners because of gamification. The benefits of Duolingo is unlimited and short offers interactive tasks. The drawbacks is Duolingo focused on the simple vocabulary and the repetitive structures. ChatGPT is very convenient for different apps. It helps each project is helps practicing for real communication, generating explanation, and creating personalized exercise. Its major benefit is flexibility. The drawback is that Drawing is the quality of response depends on wrong. The information is correct, not always adapt to the level of learners.
Probably is very different correction on the word explanation, but it doesn't always answer your understanding intention. So students might rely on it too much.
Elsa's helps learners to process pronunciation using speech recognition. It provides detailed feedback and strong progress. However, it sometimes gives feedback that is too complicated for beginners.
So parts of our project is including several steps. The preparing a questionnaire, conducting a survey, analyzing his content, the testing with feedback and tools, showing how students actually use in real situations.
Well, we are going to handle our multiple part. Together with the supervisor, a questionnaire was raised that matches the age and English level of the learners. It consists of simple and clear questions about what students know about AI, how often they use AI tools, and which applications they prefer for learning English. The first part was a survey involving students of 5 B classes with a total of 21 participants. They were asked what they know about artificial intelligence. Most of the students were like from daily tools such as like smartphone, mobile.
I don't know how much level. So means different things. What kind of test have you used in order to identify the CA level? So they all download the patch and then they do small tasks every day. Now before into the acts, you said that you provided a test. You gave them a test to identify the CE and R level A1, A2, B1, B2. So what kind of test was students? Students. They will have I didn't know their current level at the time, but I knew that they made some more progress. Тут у вас сказано, что вы сделали тест на сегодня. Какой именно сегодня? Откуда вы взяли этот тест? Вы же у нас ужасно сочинила. Для CEFR получается определить для определения взяли. А я вот тебе могу Hello everyone, welcome to Kyrgyzstan, a spiritual part of Kazakhstan. As you can see, Marx is talking to about this volunteering in Kyrgyzstan, promoting academic heritage through English communications. First of all, I will start with the question, why pay? And so answer this question, why answer this topic? Well, let me begin with a real moment. One day, while I was walking near the Metropolitan Away, the sun was so as well as full by the footsteps, and the ancient world seemed to breathe history. Suddenly, I noticed a group of Korean tourists who were taking the courtyard. They seemed curious, but also a little bit confused. As I noticed, one of them was trying to understand the information, while another one was looking around as if searching for something. And at that time, I had to start learning English seriously. I was in comment, but they always dreamed of speaking with Korea someday. And so this is my chance. So I gathered all my courage and all that turned into them. And so I was being really inspired while asking about the story, about my stories, about myself. And even I was all English values, maybe some basic or maybe not good grammar, but they listened with real interest. And at the end, when they sent me what, when they sent me what, I realized I had good. Incredible. because I would like to keep my basic English to help someone to understand our culture. I want to practice in English. I was promoting, I was sharing our story of our children. So, um, so later, so later when I was reading the document, one line stayed in my heart. It was knowledge was a practice like love. So like this wasn't just poetry. It was a message for us. Message if I learn English, I must use it. I must bring it to life. With the love brings it life. And that is exactly why I choose this topic. Because English here is not just something. It's such between cultures, between generations, between the past and the world. So, next. And through the research, I faced some problems that our foreign visitors often face language barriers, while our students lack relevant opportunities to practice English, which means that the city is missing a chance to use its use it as a cultural ambassadors. So, my relevance of my project is that we can feel learning is one sort. So what I mean by that? I said we can come out from some cultural and spiritual heritage and also improve students' English communication skills at the same time. And novelty is that it suggests that students can be both learners and cultural ambassadors. By improving their English through direct interaction with students and also while simultaneously strengthening the global experience through and heritage. And also practical values that can serve as a model for others that wish to connect user education with cultural promotion. And the task that involved by project and the method used by reading literature, by collecting survey among students, observation, and data analysis proposal. So let's start with the main point. Is that observation? I gathered some I gathered some information to observation that happened in the cities who had the same aim as mine. So, for example, the observation that happened in Albania showed that students took part in heritage surveys, workshops, and guided studies. So they act as ambassadors of their city. It shows that volunteers showed 70% higher awareness of tradition versus 40% of non-participants. This means they also express a strong pride in their city and believe in tourism potential. This case shows that youth can be agents of change in preserving and promoting heritage. And the status of a project and the findings. So then I collected some, so 10 different questions. You may look relevant on them. The first question, would you like to become a volunteer guide which showed that more of them was interested and so improving English with tourists, which also showed that many of them was interested. And the last is volunteering from tourism, which showed that almost everyone answered yes. Also, there are I prepared some booklets, two booklets. Each the first one is for the volunteers to students itself. It's what students can do. There are some essential communication phrases and a legend about our history, and they can use essential communication phrases during the guide. And the travel guide during the studies booklet for the tourists. By looking at them, they can engage in our history, and also my future plans is that I want to involve this project in the long term and also we create English content on TikTok and on social media and to promote our visibility. And also I'm going to build partnership with local hotels and music to provide guidance services for 4 years. And also I will us in pottery, crafts, and in traditional arts to offer tourists authentic cultural experience. And there are some bit that prepared. So in summary, I want to tell that use volunteering in English diversity is a powerful strategy in sustainable development, and also it empowers students to become ambassadors of their heritage, and also it enriches their educational journey and ensures that the wisdom of our ancient Hotchkiss story continues to inspire not only the people of Pakistan, but also the next one.
In a slide, we present the analysis, the scientific analysis of your work, and would you students have about the same technology in the energy.
The smart novelty is that the main idea is that we can use our views as a cultural ambassadors and also at the same time their English communication skills. In defense, I would say that I never had any courses of English, but I scored 7 by just practicing with tourists. That's all that I did because I class is about testing your English. So.
So do you want to say to it's English?
Also the biggest class, the first class that I should go just in my and to everything is everything's relevant. And the practicing is also one of the main things. What is it you have now? English video or English music and etc. No, I mean I put myself in circumstances when everything is just English, where the people and my conversations, I just put myself in English, that's all.
Okay, yeah, go to your place now. Next.
Or just today I want to tell you about the concept to speak it better at English. This has pretty much accomplished and it is good to good kind short words and short words and reach my English class. Short explanations about each video and link to my channel by sharing updates during the project. Okay. Second project is pretty close in English. Our concept is video blogging as a learning English. So the purpose of the work is to explore how YouTube blogs can help students improve their English speaking skills. So let's have different types. And one of these personal blogs where people talk about their daily life and their activities. Education channel where the speaker teach. And there's travel blogs which show new places and cultures. And the link showing what's where learners practice and creating language. So this is my practical part. Exchange of vocabulary and grammar development exchange of words. Okay, every week I make my short blogs. For example, in one blog, in daily routine, I use the present simple. And in weekend story, I use the past simple. In future class, I use the future simple for here and others. Describing people, I use their adjectives and present continuous. Step by step, I learned how to use 4 different adjectives correctly. And so, next project, 3 students made videos. Last with the video, and the next student was again basically in blog we show live through traditionals and others. We also show how blogs can help us practice English and understand our cultures better. Please watch my culture Hi everyone, welcome back to my blog. Today we are here, coolest places in school, the library. Right now, my classmates are here trying to look studies. There's Asma who actually reading. She's the responsible one in the class. If any of us passes this, it's because of her. And this is Saturday negotiated. He just raised his eyes for a minute. It's been 20 minutes. Plus, even so, we make mistakes sometimes. The library is one of our favorite places. Good vibes, good friends, and sometimes having good grades. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in next vlog. And Sierra is research for my science project. This is my creativity show and this confidence level. Here are main results. In every blog, I use it there 20, 30 new words. At the end, I learned 120 new words. And I practice grammar sentences like present simple, past simple, conditions, and etc. I corrected my mistakes step by step, and my speaking become clearer and confident. So, my final opinion is blogging makes learning more easily, funny, and useful. Uh, I recommend this, try this. I recommend this, try to other students. Thank you very much.
Why do you do this? Is it your diary? No? Is it your diary?
No,
No? That what is it? And where is it diary? I was in that now. How can you write it? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. How long? Have you been running?
never been. I'm asking here. I think it's for
I've been running the show.
for 5 years. 1 year.
Please note it. About loss and what is the difference? Please note between the early stuff. What is new in your work? Like
Lots of people say about
I
in every book, it's a new tenses like present simple, future simple, and I learned more what how to use emails. Is what about this study? I could use is this one question? Yeah, this yes, what's it? Okay. My name is Olivia Andras. I am a student in the Albert Grace at Experience Community School. Where my scientific project is translation of the names in English. So, have you ever thought about how the names in English? The names in as digital translated in translated in how you thought about how the names of the translated on the channel biology become people? For example, when I participate in the communication tours at our managed. At the time I wanted the names traditional names translated into English character results discussion. For instance, English will translate into English. Others as the harder BS dance, which is as rich face, clear dark, or that's insert. That's listen to the audio wrong. For instance, you cannot translate these words as has been detailed models and translations in a great and ways to translate from one language to another. Transcription, concentration, pronunciation, and calculation. This language works for as source language is transferred into the target language. Transcription focuses on the phonetic sound of the word, and concentration focuses on the grammar form of spelling or word of the word. For example, passing down or higher and for blah. Descriptive transliteration. This is a grammatical transformation where a single lexical unit from the source language is replaced by a description in the target and characters creation. This is another lexical classification and characters when a word or character is translated into a word or word into a new language. And in the program takes the auto responsive translation and also the techniques are techniques like the analysis highlights how the translator or the translation of language name in the context in English. Well, like I use two times, start I use 12 times, start translator also provides detailed explanation in our web. And so acceptable. Analytical translation of acceptable will provide text examiners. Translation of the instrument figure with name acceptable. From present to English. The autocorrect that claims that translated using the and language. Either paragraph just of acceptable. I believe they are more complex classification as the original means. I don't choosing made and tell about the standard going on in engineer or its historical figure. Something conclusion using five methods. Here is summary and analyze also provide text, which is counted the translation of the significant as a historical figure in names. Some of it has principles, was the job. The text analyze the beginning of classification, a famous paragraph known as Carlos Classification. Aslan Kayra, the historical poet, the text organizing the name of the poet and the Aslan Kayra. The name literally means historical Aslan, the author of the what is about how monolithic have hatches and research for the journey. Now, the historical terror. Let's now have shown our attention to the ways in which the ways in which the engage social skills classes easily historical travel manner. Our review from Charles Kupan, and the behavior we people as well as examples. In practical analysis, main objective is not to analyze the combination results or higher names to be into English. Since those names are multiple comments in English, the source of the navigation product has been received something which time is showing has. Communicating so navigation is not just a method for users to guide. It's concept of legal and environment is what it is also to foreign speaks with smaller topics, stations, it on this. What else can you incorporate that's the ways to organize. The school experts to report not only grammatical desire about the text, this is amazing steps to be identified by the mission blocks. And teach the historical names. Language teachers to read explaining from text, which includes students with the historical background and learning this. University has been made of what the last names do you get? Catholic names, Catholics, what do you get? Yeah, means the city lives in the sun here. I must call it a just what the anthropology math, Aroni German automatic Fidon German so sigara zakładane, yani Avusturya'da değişecek, tamamlanan bir adam sayılır. Zamanında sanatlardan sonra sağlam doğru sağlamdan mesela hayatlarımızın istiyormuşuz ya bir mesela azaldı bir yere getiriyorsunuz. Sonra Allah razı olsun diye ben biraz yes. Agora eu cheguei aqui no início, estou dizendo que se vai são mais agradecimentos, são os funcionários que dizem, foram chamados por nós. Tudo Brasil que recebe. And people gradually escape from example, as a future code and one way later, this kind of games they're given you there's even characters that characteristics that can teach skills. In this kind of games, there are lots of biologists and texts, and after the development of the plot depends on the answer. For example, sacrifice was a and then interactive games are really stretching for people who are interested about games such. And this there are a lot of text that you can read and improve your reading and so on. So for example, this Spanish theory. And this mention is Spanish games really suitable for people who are far from their country games in principle. They want to try to learn English and have fun at the same time. And there's a lot of challenges too. For example, here is still in our ground interaction. And until we have a localization, localization is a translation of to our language. In our case, it's Russian language. So fluid portions divided into localization into two types: it's full and imperial. Full localization of everything has been translated, even without it. And partial localization again just came in, translated, and just added specific types. And population it is a rarity in a given ministry because of the amount of time and the game's relative this. So we should know that our responsibility takes from making games we can achieve this always when we play the games for 2 3 hours a day. You will play a limited time, you will damage yourself, your health, your body, and you will forget about your homework and so on. Ultra computer gamers can correspond to each other, communicate with each other of the popular applications such as Skype and Critical. Also, it's really helpful for improving your speaking skills too. Also, I did a survey, and they were 34 participants. I did a survey between my peers. So the 75% of them are Portuguese, and surprisingly, 95% of them are Portuguese in English to improve their English language skills. And 71% of them can translate their favorite games name. And also, 10% of them chat inspirations, and 45% of them improve their vocabulary. We give them a task to translate the common words into our language, such as their common computer games, such as delete, destroy, defeat, win, enemy, ability, and so on. So they can successfully translate it. And computer games as United States in general with development attention. Also, teachers can give from their students a task like doing a presentation of their current games in English. It is really helpful and really interesting. And computer games it is not only the one of the kind of entertainment, it's also a good way to learn English. So we should keep them in house. And we see that computer games can be a real tool to learn too. And they image vocabulary, require skills, and research. And the part of the theory that computer games have a strong effect on the learn English and
Finish.
yeah, yeah.
What is the difference between role-playing games and interactive games? How can we differentiate from each other?
Role-playing games is when you play with others and like such as for example catching a bat. In this game you correspond with each other, you can play with friends and the plot depends on you answer. Okay. And in interactive games there are experience also there's a lot of text and like this kind of games are like comic games.
Interactive games.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have any other questions?
How many this is very necessary. 24. Yeah. How many of them do you have like this? There two of them. Okay, there are some contradictions in your theory. So, for example, here we said that two of them didn't play any games, but here, how many of them, how much time they spent, and etc. Also, here, 22 people play in English, two in Russian, here mistake. Also, about the words that you read in order to analyze if you learn them or not. Some of the words might be already familiar to them, first of all. And the second of all, there are translated terms directly with vocabulary, chance, base, and etc. So, if you want to know, if you want to gain the true answers, please try the words that they are not familiar with. So, this is that these words they learn from games. But how would you teach them? This is that you ask them to translate. What did you ask them to translate? Understand words and they say that I wish I could learn words. I didn't listen hearing. It's kind of words. These words. This kind of yeah. That's common in computer games. And then I words kind of like these words. Yeah. Yeah. And I give them a question for which you learn words and they say games. For example, I destroy, defeat, and actually I learned them from the machines and my friends like kids, they learn them too. Okay, yeah.
And we make a diagram as results research.
Yeah.
Make a diagram. And you show them the percentage and how, like, where do you get with this percentage?
Probably.
When you survey. Yeah.
Yes.
How can you really choose the person when you survey?
Using math methods. Using math methods.
How?
If you're 0% to say yes, I'm going to yeah. Well, what's the difference? How much I try for present?
Yeah, I shall first to color of similar to just so that's the subject of our just
Я не знаю, что вы хотите говорить. Чего ты не знал, что ты говоришь? Чего я не говорю?
yeah. So just individual. System visualizing system is mostly just making individual шансы. It's just the tissue. Social science, social science, yeah, yeah, sure.
I wanted to show that I play computer games in English. And since I was 12, I play computer games in English.
You play with me.
Yeah.
Those mentioned names I don't know. What's that else for you? You got a game?
That's cheating.
Mustn't match.
It's in English. It's no materials. So this study was already done by a lot of researchers.
Yeah.
So what is a novelty in research? We should know that learning English, we can learn English not from the people and from the textbooks and it's just little activities. We also can learn them from computer Goodbye, thank you. These doesn't just Good afternoon. Hello, students. My name is Megan. My name is Hannah from Roger 14 and Kittle Health. So let's start. Well, the medical professional English teacher available to seven total station also in the event planner. That's what a opportunity today. This clip is the effectiveness of using artificial intelligence in learning English. And before we start, what is AI and language learning? Well, basically, AI is not technology that work with humans' brain. It's a programmers in whole four segment files and also give you quick feedbacks and adjust for each person's own. Our purpose is to study the effectiveness of artificial intelligence, mostly ChatGPT, and that students can learn English and other foreign languages by themselves. And the responsibilities are probably what it is, analyze pros and cons, and draw conclusions about the impact of AI. First of all, let's talk about the history of AI. Everything started when individuals started thinking, can machines think like humans? So in 1950s, there was a meeting of researchers on a Dartmouth college. They asked and they predicted that in the future there would be a lot of agents. And in the 1980s, AI grew into a billion-dollar industry. It was supported by Japanese government. Suddenly, in the 1980s, the interest dropped and was criticized. So research relies on entrepreneurs. Despite a slight drop in those years, in 2000s, AI became fashionable again. There were two opposing views in those generations. Some of them were optimistic, but others were afraid of potential threats that was put by AI tools. In the stage of AI investment grew fast, mainly it's because of the transfer models such as ChatGPT. The tools act almost like a human. They can create, they can focus, they can think like a human. And the tools was everywhere and it pushed investment even further. The use of AI in three ways. Supporting learning by comments and tips and organizational sites, which can be really helpful for students because of sharing. The second one is development of skills, medical skills, and creative skills too. And with the help of AI, AI can give learning information just simply by creating certificates or students can learn it faster with game approach. But it's not only about how we can use it in education, but how effective it might be when we learn a new language. First of all, it's important that we check our initial knowledge about the language itself. And the second, it would improve our grammar and mechanical skills. And finally, with the help of AI, we can practice our speaking. Unfortunately, not all cases have that information. ChatGPT has this function, so we're going to talk about it more in our experience of work. There's a few platforms that can be really useful for learners and for students in different languages. The first one is AI. It's an AI powered platform where you can practice word writing and speaking, and the tutor can give you the quick feedbacks and tips. The second one is Ағылшын. It's a free platform where you can find a collection of prompted IELTS practical tests and also pairs the whole four parts of IELTS sections. The third one is Basic. It's a website where you can focus on your listening and diction and also your writing because it's really helpful for people. It's actually this stream platforms really help us to prepare for IELTS and we got little use results after using it. We also conducted a survey among our school. There were 150 participants. We asked, actually, we had six questions, but we put only important points. So the first question was, do you know what AI is? 100% of our participants said yes. So it made us think that it's safe to say everyone was aware of AI nowadays. The second question, is it profitable to use AI in education? 30% of those students said no, and 70% of students said yes. And the final question, for what purpose do you use AI for? 20% of participants said would volunteer skills. As for 30% do their homework. And 50% for learning a new language. Final differential works and one thing. Well, there is a table that shows the difference between nutrients and actual very example for labor for the analysis and personal response. And also for improving information, that ChatGPT is the best way for education. We're gonna do some practical work. Now I'm gonna ask you to ask our level some questions from CD plus three and give us to tips. You ask some questions from speaker by three and give feedback.
Something that we have about that. Someone seeking further questions.
Yes. I think it's because of digital energy. Well, people need wheels. Um, we also have a lot of transport works with GPT and the energy. So the first one is about this text. We're gonna ask GPT to do it more experience and understanding more short. So there is just the champions is not learning is going to be it's also you know actually it's going to be the first game actually so this super
This emergency was
so each insurance. You have to know your costs, which is what you can like really travel anxiety. So basically, CNs are is as a judge as creating a text and seeing it's like just where the time is it. And the next slide is simply every information for sending these and story. I'm not going to be doing this without I think you can do this in jail. We just look at the nice our situation. Because you may do this. And as we use about okay. So questions. Today we words, ChatGPT words, ChatGPT words devoted to the artificial intelligence. And why is it work special from that? Well, I think before writing this. Well, it's in just three things, yeah. Well, we've been learning English since the 80s grade, and we think that we have a long background that makes it even more special. And after that, we passed the IELTS. We used all those tools, and we thought that our suggestions, our tips would help other students. Other students also like matters. But actually, timing because of timing. A lot of students can't find the platform where they can just educate English. So we just thought that we can be really useful by educating ChatGPT because we just found it really good for ourselves. Okay. Thank you. Good shit. So now, that comment.
So, in my job, you know the difference between speaking and fluency level based on students, genders, and the grade levels. Introduction for this all of this scientific product, it will give answers for the following questions. What is speaking anxiety level of school students in English language classrooms? Are there any differences in speaking anxiety level and writing them? And are there any differences in speaking anxiety level regarding grades? What is speaking anxiety? Speaking anxiety, or also called French language speaking anxiety, or shorter FLCA, it's described as fear of speaking, or some students can be afraid of making mistakes or being judged. And this methodology we and if I describe this methodology, we use foreign language speaking questionnaire performance. And the participants in the study consisted of 167 students from various Latin of 600. 89 of them were females, and 78 of them were males. And to prevent some misunderstanding in question, three different languages were offered. We use three different languages. There are Kazakh, Russian, and English. Here you can see the findings, and also uh, what we can know from these results. The findings from this study suggest that students experience very high levels of anxiety related to speaking English in classroom settings. Such high anxiety levels can be attributed to combination of factors including fear of negative consequences, lack of potency, and the pressure to perform in front of peers. And maybe no, the three main factors that can disrupt students from performing. There are classroom factors, personal traits, and then social factors. What is classroom factors? Some people uh, can be afraid of performing in the classroom settings, and can feel unsafe or uncomfortable while they're performing in the large auditorium. And the second factor is personal traits. Some people can be born with a fear of speaking or performing. And the third factor is social factors. Some students or some people can be afraid of uh, being judged or laughed by environment or by classes. These three factors can stop students from their speaking ability, but if they can't remove these factors, then how can he or she increase, advance their speaking ability or being social? And in conclusion, we can say that females have exhibited higher anxiety than males Speaking anxiety is a challenge from 7th to ninth grade, and educators should adopt tailored strategies to reduce speaking anxiety. Yes.
Do you have any difficulty on speaking, writing, reading, or listening in English classroom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For example,
For example, situational.
in what skills?
What skills?
Yeah.
Well, especially while speaking.
Speaking,
Yes.
yes.
But,
And what activities, what exercises do you usually use in order to reinforce your speaking skills?
I usually conversing with my friends out of classroom and prepare to speaking.
Okay. Any other questions?
Like speaking class.
So the question.
What kind of tools did you use in order to evaluate the research? What kind of tools did you use in order to evaluate the success?
Methods. I use methods. Yes.
Okay, so can you please what kind of use methods? Since you said nothing about methods.
About findings. With the findings, I can say that females experience higher anxiety levels than males, and with
Research is findings.
Passions are okay, but there was you.
uh,
It doesn't have a problem. Yeah, going further.
Das war auf solche anderen Wege.
and some students often study with innovation team. 90% my research project called social media as tool for enhancing English proficiency. Before the start, I need to speak us through the methodology and content of my research paper. To see the content, you can open page right after the annotation. My research paper consists of introduction, methodology, where I explain how research was made in detail, findings, discussion of the findings, conclusions, and references. Research employs quantitative design is descriptive. The data was collected through the survey employed from Ағылшын 15 item research, 15 item survey employs 5-point Likert scale to measure strong. I think from strong to strong disagree. Also means system elimination with zero on 9, 10, and 11 years. All questions are provided in English. Assuming all participants had adequate English level, clarify any uncertainties, research gave explanations when necessary. The collected data was subsequently statistically analyzed using state sensory model. Nowadays, we expect the noise on planet coming up. And autonomous on online every day. Most people prefer online life rather than reading. However, that time can be used productively by using smartphones or language learning for language learning. Such questions are such questions are what are the perceptions of social media influence on English language learners? And are there any differences in these perceptions? The purpose of this research is to find out what are the perceptions. Now I'll explain mine. Uh, this diagram shows the average score, which is 3.6. This reports a positive perceived of social media impact on language acquisition. The high score has 90 number 2 with mean 4.0. You can see it on the table on page 10. Hence, my goals for course in English. This is the case, the positive impact of social media on vocabulary enlargement. The next high score has 90 number 1 on the same page. Improve my overall listening and speaking skills with mean 3.9. This which shows
the importance of social media in the development of listening and speaking skills. As a lowest result was shown 19, number 12 on page 11, improve my, improve my academic practice, improve my overall academic practice skills. This indicates that social media has mild influence on development of academic writing skills. Now came time to discuss the findings. The overall findings claim that social media has positive influence on development of listening, speaking skills, and improving of academic writing. However, the study also reveals that perceived impact of social media development development of academic skill is perceived as moderate, with the I can improve my overall academic writing skills, receiving the lowest mean score of 3.2. Uh, one of the most significant findings is that students perceive social media as a powerful tool for enhancing or vocabulary unlocking. Another notable finding is that shows that students strongly believe in the potential of social media to improve their listening comprehension and speaking skills. Despite the benefits, study also reveals that the perceived impact of social media on academic practices is seen as moderate. The question is, are there any differences in this perception? Shows that these findings suggest that students are aware of the informed nature of social media interactions and share similar views regarding to the level of their academic preparation. Thus, we can draw the following conclusion. While social media is a widely recognized and adopted tool for enhancing English acquisition, its effects are nuanced across different areas of language learning. That's all. Thanks for your attention. Are there any questions?
Questions, please. What is the novelty of your research? What is the novelty of your research?
Novelty of my research. This research underscores the role of social media language learning.
There are a lot of research about it.
But my research shows like the statistics among students of some innovation, which is который предполагается обучение на английском. И учитывая это, ученики должны использовать любые инструменты для улучшения их английского, для уровня их английского.
Could you please tell me what kind of sciences or research works have you read during this project or research?
I don't remember the exact title, but I remember that it was similar to top of my research.
What his findings?
His findings shows that social media is good for vocabulary enlargement, but lack the core linguistic complexity for development of repertoire practice.
This challenges. Cross
Our нет, не вышло, скрывается от нас. Да,
Isso é achamos como uma universidade. A menina vai lá para as cabeças, não deve ser das duas do amor e a nossa escrever de visão ao momento.
Little one things and to visit with my friends, their home outside, we have spent a lot of time kids and live English grade books like Come Game and Sherlock Holmes and Jane. These books help us uh, gradually improve our language skills. For example, we began to wonder, these are so things created in war, decision, time, why, why we don't change our rules from the foundation of mathematics. After all, our story has a each meanings, history, and cultural goals. These questions inspired us to begin our own research. We studied how graded readers are created, what levels they use, and how the whole genre are simplified. And there is a region that is searching of how we should promote the Mr. Child and smart drive to publish perfect way of translation. Focus on quality words and for words begin profession and citizen situations. Even as the largest, which is the global, which is where marketplace. We also believe that is a important support of the initiative and all we economic needs instead of buying economic needs and instead of buying economic books because produce and sell our own trades at a more affordable price and in, in turn sustain good and significant return. And after analysis, so this is strategy and this and how very is can be interested as a learning to do reach that is the revolution. And the business can also be added to different English books. English levels have made accessible to readers around the world. Learning from more versus learning readings and also practical things takes a information. The first is control vocabulary. Maybe in the beginning works based on child level and simplify language. Shorter or less complex and less challenging. Child can clear level they want to do as a student, but not to distance. And and our initiative led not ready to readers. My name is Flora and then it is also greater because more your first edition of information the year old is very large and this is general worldwide and also to from otherwise for global education present development and about the further knowledge diversification beyond academia student further knowledge translation. Research finding pedagogical support increased motivation. Students show higher interest in cultural and familiar content and higher acquisition and improvement in vocabulary and grammar source, national educational materials and professional adaptive are pedagogical
And the strategic growth programs of our street, the implementation of the methodology is essential. Organized organization, enhance engagement and learning efficiency. And the rainbow definition about consumer engagement is the with language learning. And so this research became to a meaningful partnership. Five English moves and it's all because of children. We can gain a deeper understanding, deeper understanding of all historical, regional heritage, and at the same time help shape the global audience. You said over 92% of your participants show the interest in reading with books. Could you please tell what kind of questions were there? How many participants were there in the survey? What was the question? What was the question? Can you say the vice president shopping? So just some experience of that. Kaç sayfa kaç adam katılıyor? Nasıl olursun? Kaç soru? Sen kaç soru? Görebilir oluruz. 한자랑 같은 얘기했어. 시험하는 거. 상담을 시키는 한자 생각하고 무슨 수학 대표에서는 그래서 여기서는 이제 쓰고 있는 소득 수준이구나. 당신 사람이 얘기했는 게 내가 그런 게 있어. 손사람 있어. 그래서 Ағылшынша уже мен басынан осыны ағылшынша өзгертсек ешқандай конечно жоқшы болды ағылшынша оқышайды бірақ сол арқылы біз осы қазақ әдебиетін адамдарға таныстыруға оңайырақ үшін әрі осы әдеби шығармаларды таниды және ағылшынша өз деңгейлерін көтереді жақсы мынаны шындай қандай сұрақ нәтижесінде мындай қорытындыға келіп шығып соны сіздеріміз сол сұрақтарға сұрағанда келесі
Как все прекрасно. Good afternoon, dear teachers and students. Have you ever wanted to take your long walk with your strategic plan today? We want to share it, our experience of creating digital books with our kids. Let's start. So storyteller. From passive learners to active process, all team contains resilient process and inside introduction. This topic explores how project-based learning develop enhanced English language skills among secondary school students in Kazakhstan. Problem statement: traditional English teaching methods often real platform educations, leading to low students' engagement and limited practical language skills. Objectives: to enhance students' engagement and English language proficiency, to investigate the potential benefits and rejection digital story tools. Methodology: research design, methodology, and data analysis. Research design: a single knowledge for Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, as served as study site. For the study site, 45 students were participated and two teachers agreed to participate from the school. The age 7th and the 8th grade students were between 12 and 30. 9 hours of the classrooms were spent creating the digital story by using book creator application. Data collection, data collections through different isolations and student reflections surveys due to constraints, time constraint. Data analysis. Students' responses were quantified and analyzed were mean M and standard deviation as D. As is reveal effectiveness. And there is we have to search results. But interest of students in digital score definition and equal to 0.79 and the ST equal to 0.32. Most students prefer creating digital scoring books and the lot, but some students prefer traditional lessons. Some students like to clothes and so second it's learning vocabulary and the grammar. M equal to 0.72 and the S equal to 0.28. Most students say that they learn new vocabulary like algebra. He feels similar to help students more with vocabulary and with grammar. Some students believe that traditional lessons were more effective than digital storytelling. So in language processing, M equal to 0.68 and S equal to 0.22. Students improve most in writing and speaking. How they improve writing and speaking? When they write storybooks, they can improve writing skill, and when they explain own ideas or work in groups, and when they explain their projects, they can improve speaking. Reading and listening develop less than writing and speaking. Fourth is research and result. Because responsibility equal to 0.81 and is equal to 0.30. More students felt responsibility because of roles, deadlines, and depend on classmates. For some students, responsibility stressful because they can't work without teachers and prefers of future PBL and reserve makes them before and as equal to 0.35. Most students wanted more PBL activities like digital storytelling because it is creativity, enjoyable and useful. But some still prefer traditional lessons because they think PBL was so hard and lessons learned as you're finding students learning more in PBL lessons than in traditional lessons. They develop skills like teamwork, responsibility, and creativity. As a result of our project was to motivate students to use real world language with the help of technology. And for example, it's books that we do our team, Alice and the piece of next. We can read. If you can't read, you can listen to our. And this is Brokerage application. We use this application for writing our digital books. And this book, with this application, you can add text, images, videos, and audios. And you can easily publish your children's books online. That's all. Thank you very much.
What is the aim of your work and what objectives are set to reach the aim?
Investigate the impact of PBL on students' engagements and English language proficiency.
What is the aim? You need about the objectives. Just one objective.
Kaçtım.
You
Uçlardan alışıklığım aklı olsa zaman sözün doğru tutuştular, doğru çok takma çıksın. Sularda училищу digital programları, digital marketing, zamanında kadınlar storytelling, kadınlar aktivitelerden bu tez zaman bir şekilde koçluk stüdyentlerde motivasyon birlikte iyi gösteren mentionation festival. Güzel böyle var sürekli tasarlı AI akbular bir o sürekli
you just mentioned. The question was about the aim and objectives of the
The aim of our project was motivate students to learn to use real world language and about technology.
improve of the objectives.
Investigate.
Any other questions? No.
Thank you, teacher. You must have очень даже пишет язык.
Madam, the issue was the answer.
Şimdi bir var şu şimdi bir var şimdi bir var çok Well, I was very much this. Some of the stuff as with the cycle of the yes, the much creation you have made. The name was a lot of books, very fancy. I mean, and there was a lot of books nowadays, and you can read or you can create your own book. Not only you can create poem or something if you need something new. And We can use AI for contrast. We describe the pictures like the girl, blah blah blah, blah, and then the AI gives a picture, and then we use to this also.
We are using
How many questions? How many questions do you have? How many questions do you have in question? Should have 30. Questions 30 or 30 between 20 and 60 questions. Yes. We work here is some hard questions. The four questions. We didn't ask us certain questions.
Yeah, what was in the search? Which is the search?
Learning vocabulary and grammar. It was logic and research. So this questionnaire, we take 45 students.
And what questions?
We talk about most of students to digital stories, learning vocabulary and grammar. And then,
Is it complete? Arkadaşlar konuda yaşamı belirlesin. Klasının kalıcı olmayasın. Sınıfta kalıcı olmasın. Sınıfta kalıcı istedim. Ekleyebilirsin. Alışverişe bilirsin. Ekleyebilirsin. Ekleyebilirsin. Sonra kazanın. Senin hayatında kazanın. Sonra kazanabilirsin. Sonra bunu biraz. Bir zaten böyle. Часто чувствую, надо учиться рассказывать правилам, а также чувствовать разговаривать, но для этого обязательно писать. Люди чувствуют, что это способно, почему надо знать, почему надо знать. Все раза, люди часто не зашли, нормально, вот или чего-то. Слово на неделю после пара я сама чувствую. Сказать себе, сол действительно сложно. Son aklına verdiğinde
Tamam, zaten ben düşünüyorum. Çünkü isim Şimdi mesleğe Avrupa lisansından bir şey mesleği. Yeah, this is I remember there's a lot of Without showing this to information to me, my name is actually organizer and this is my spark and today we are going to turn house when scientific research project and linguistics is developed by English members among the students. Our scientific supervisor is in the council. In our project, we look at the exam and then English conversation among teenagers, and then we are trying to understand why young people switch to languages when they are in a state, and how whether this is a problem or a natural part of communication today. Our aim was to explore linguistic, social, psychological factors behind language switching, and to see how it affects on language development. And overall, switching works as helpful strategy. It can make our conversational easily and quicker, and it may even support the growth of bilingual skills. On this slide, we will talk about the theoretical foundations. First, our key concept is the shape linguistic hybridism, the bilingual competence. This helps us to understand how students speak the languages. And then our idea is that conservation is not deficiency, it's a social and community strategy. Then we look at the main theories. Some people think that conservation can cause problems like linguistic reason. This is the belief that confusion may harm their native languages, and the second one is lexical efficiency. This is the idea that confusion often use it when they don't know a word. And the last one is national identity. This is the view that confusion may weaken their national language identity. Next, let's dive into research results. In our project, we have provided anonymous questionnaire, anonymous survey involving 70 students from our lesson. And the questions, all the questions are in the end of our research paper. We have total 10 questions. And let's dive into the research results and specifically the illustrations and situations. But the first is considerations. The primary reason for concentration is efficiency and convenience. 52.9% of students, 22.9% of students use English for research or faster expression of thoughts. Concentration is a functional strategy, not merely a trend. And the next is situations. The phenomenon is highly contributed to the active setting, and it is from maximum force of students. This levels flexibility. And in this part of our project, we focused on practical research. We built our own website and launched a Telegram channel. This program helps us to share our ideas, information, and collect feedbacks and make our research more accessible for students. And through this website and Telegram channel, we were able to reach people and explain our findings in a simple and clear way. Influence knowledge and contribution. The actual knowledge and key contributions. We did this slide, and the first is functional switching. Switching is a language initiative. It is commonly used for research functional expressions, expressions of the thoughts, and frequently is rather practical to the digital of which we have created our own site and let's have a shop to ethics use engagement much more to um, the project will be engaging and accessible to the use. And the third is context is concentrated. Constitution is also related as philosophy and concludes our structural impact on consumer policy. And the last is constitution as a official communication. Majority of students majority of the answers to the question are the people of Spanish language and shipping and material identity. And moving on to the conclusion. Our conclusion may be successful achieved all our object research object and first we confirm the rising English nutrition is common and works classes from new reality. And the second, we put the most using in an active setting. And the last, we put the green conservation is convenient. Its conservation is used for the expression of thoughts more clear and faster. And the final conclusion is conservation is a dynamic strategy for the students from school and adaptive skills. Education. Now, in the future, we plan to expand the study to include more schools and regions across the Kazakhstan to get a broader view of constitution. And our aim is to use in-depth quantitative methods like detailed interviews to better understand the subtle social and pragmatic functions of constitution. And finally, to hope that in the future we can use constitution in a teaching specific ways that it can make learning effective and more easy. And that's all. Okay, what is the current possibility of impact?
Maybe can I use findings the results of the project? Where can we reach?
You can also choose our website and get to We can use it as, most of people see it like switching as a problem, but actually, this is not a problem. It's
I just asked the question in your shape to it. It is
people see it switching as a problem, but it is not a typical problem. It is mainly like availability, stress area, more clearly and easy.
the question was where where can you use the findings themselves of the thought? Where it was here. It was here in one field of the education system.
Um, we can use it in schools, like um, we can do like textbooks for both language and see the new see the new universities of the we created a website on Zeta. It's a website which help us with the see that. And then but then this website we have a partner is it is it helps us to resolve it over time. Okay. Maybe also consider on sorry. Okay. Now the big questions is the no. It's looking you're right. Okay. Next study is about no, the question is sitting against the come on. Yeah, what is she? I want is why I'm going to be I have very also to have here. But no harm has you can do your share. I want you teachers and students. My name is Anna School. I want to explain that today the theme of my project is English in social media, how to make learn new English words online. Nowadays, next spend all the time on social media. We use Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and many other apps every day. While we scroll, watch, and check the screen, we also see a lot of English words. In fact, social media has become one of the easiest ways to learn new vocabulary. First of all, many popular videos, songs, and memes are in English. Teenagers want to understand them, so they try to translate or get the meaning. For example, I learned words like challenge, tutorial, and trend from social media. Secondly, social media gives us communication with people from other countries. When teenagers play online games or comment on posts, they often use English because definitely it's the international language. It's the international language. In this way, they practice reading in vocabulary without any textbooks. Another advantage is that English words on social media are connected with the real life. We don't just memorize them in a text, we use them in the messages, jokes, or even when we talking with friends. That makes learning more easier and more fun. So, social media is especially effective for vocabulary learning because it provides visual context. Pictures, emojis, memes, videos help understand meanings, auditory context. Hearing the pronunciation in videos, real life examples all are used by native speakers in authentic situations. For example, it helps to understand how Americans use words in real life. Repetition, common words, and hashtags appear many times. For teenagers, this method of learning is natural and participating. Instead of memorizing long words, Later, they discover words in real context, which makes learning enjoyable. For example, making up slang words such as cringe, vibe, flex, and abbreviations like LOL, OMG, BRB became part of teenage vocabulary because and thanks to social media. So it's the result of the theory among students daily use of social media. 88% of students use social media every day. The average time spent online 2 4 hours only. Different platforms. TikTok is 56%, YouTube is 28%, Instagram is 16%. Nothing new words. 80% of students say that they often notice English words in posts, tweets, and under their comments, and 65% report that they try to use some of these words in their own speech or writing. So types of words learned. 45% is plain words and phrases like leave, vibe, cringe. 25% everyday words, outfit, challenge, tutorial. 25 is abbreviations like LOL, FR, OMG, BRB. Is the mini dictionary of vocabulary words and abbreviations. Lit, it means exciting, cool. For example, the concept was lit, and cringe, it means embarrassing. That post was cringe, and vibe, it means atmosphere, mood. For example, I love the camel vibe. My vibe is cool. And about abbreviations, love, it means love of love, that means medium. LOL, OMG means oh my god. Oh my god, it's amazing. It's a comparison with traditional learning. Content, the social media focus on slang, modern vocabulary, trends in traditional classroom learning, focus on grammar, formal vocabulary, learning style. In social media, informal, self-directed, fun. In classroom traditional classroom learning, structured, teacher-directed, systematic context, real life, authentic, multimodal. In classroom, academy often text-based social media linked to personal interest, learning where varies depends on teaching style, risk. In social media, many capital slangs and important words, informality, distraction. In traditional classroom learning, lack of real words vocabulary. Some of findings, the research has shown that social media plays a main role in the way teenagers learn new words. Based on the survey and observation, most students use social media daily, spending 4 hours a day. The most popular platforms are YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, which frequently expose teenagers to English vocabulary. A majority of students notice new words and post videos and comments and actively try to use them. The words learned can be divided into three categories: slang and trendy words like lead, vibe, cringe, everyday vocabulary, outfit, challenge, tutorial, abbreviation, LOL, OMG. By the way, these conflicts that social media acts not only entertainment but also as informal learning environment that enrich teenagers' vocabulary. At the beginning of the research, the hypothesis was teenagers can learn English effectively through social media platforms. It's my video. It's my younger brother and I. He's 10. He spent a lot of time on social media. So I asked him a lot of English words. So he could answer very well. Thanks to social media, he memorized those words, not at school, and on social media. Mhm. бір ғана видео болған жоқ негізі шынайы шынымен ғана не істейін деген және де бізде менің жобамның өзекшілігіне келетін болсақ мен жобамның өзекшілігі бізде андай да ағылшын тілін үйренетін телеграм боттар приложение толығында бірақ оны кімдер тек қалаған адамдар ғана үйренді ал менің жобамның өзекшілігі өзектілігі кешірім тура осы жерде сен ағылшынды қалайсың ба қаламайсың ба бәрібір сен ең үйреніп кетесің сен бұны тіпті өзің социал медианың үйренгеніңді білмей де қаласың да мысалы біздің ата аналарымыздың өзі олар ағылшын білмейді бірақ олар осы сөздерді олар социал медиа арқылы үйрене алады бұл сөздерді неге мектептен неге оңай сөздер ойыншылар бірақ ол хотя бы модулсыздар бірақ неде мектепте тек академикалық сөздерді ғана үйренеді мұндай сияқты сөздерді мен мектепте немесе яғни инстасында социальный сеттерден үйрендім бізде қазіргі таңда бізде тинейджерлар көбінесе сөздерді мектептен емес олар социальный сеттерден көп үйренеді осы жерде біздің типа жаңалық мысалы академикалық немен ағылшынмен америкаға есебін түкшік қойып болсақ олар мысалы тез сөйлеседі түсінбей қалған болады қалай сөздер айтады түсінбей қалуы мүмкін сондықтан ол өзгеше яғни менің айтып отырғаным bizde informal and informal English they are so different. Сол үшін бізде мектепте мұғалімдер екі түрде үйренуге керек деп
In order to study how teenagers learn new English words, three methods will be used. Three methods. Survey, observation, and analysis. What are the differences between them? What are the differences? You get these materials, you want to you say for sections. What's really difficult is when the action teenagers, let's just say that let's just say that the action feeling Üstünde Erzfahne, survey, observation, and analysis. Survey, experience, observation, shall forward, analysis. Was şimdi bir anlaşılma yazılmış. Son survey and isolation. Она останется. Дети, люди, вообще
Today, everyone will welcome. I'm student of Learnsburg and number 23 activities in school. Then I'm going to present my scientific discussion on the topic phonological changes in culture by Kazakh individual learners and why we really human English pronunciation. Pronunciation is one of the most difficult aspects in your foreign language. In Kazakhstan, English is often many states. Many students still struggle with correct pronunciation. I noticed that even students with grammar and vocabulary also find it difficult to speak English clearly and accurately. The main goal of my research was to explore the lot of difficulties that Kazakh learners face while learning English. Learning system was expectations, these problems, and how to be accuracy level to choose these topics for research projects. Before starting a practical project theory, and 16% phonology, while phonetic studies physical sounds, phonology studies how sounds function in a language. I also had a spelling, I also had a spelling test with 10th and 11th grade students, and that showed me that learners may mistake in sounds most that they are not listening much in their lives. This means pronunciation is not about grammar. Learners just need more pronunciation and listening practices to understand English sounds. So I'll tell more about it. Firstly, stress and repetition patterns differ greatly. English is a stress-time language, while not is still at times. So when we do have, as a result, as learners may pronounce every syllable equally, which leads to a brain accent and make their speech sound unnatural and less fluent. And replacing what stress to saying comfortable instead of comfortable is also beneficial. Secondly, Kazakh learners struggle with certain English vowel sounds that do not exist in Kazakh language. For example, the difference between E in sheep and the E in ship is hard to hear and pronounce correctly. Um, so long and short vowels in English are often confused since Kazakh does not have vowel contrast in the same way. Certainly, consonant sounds also present problems. The English sounds th and think and the and this are especially difficult. Learners just replace often them with so, so, that, which may lead to as well. Another example is the wall sound water, which may replaced by bot due to interference from Russian. Finally, difficulties with consonant clusters, like the words spring and text. It was missed over years. Learners often insert extra vowels, like saying school as is school. In my research, I wanted to check whether modern technology can help Kazakh learners improve their English pronunciation. And for this experiment, I used a mobile application called Elsa Speak. It analyzes the student's voice with artificial intelligence, highlights ignored sounds, gives an accuracy percentage, shows how to position the tongue and lips, and finally offers short lessons focused on the specific sounds. So I selected four students from the 10th grade. They they completed a short prep test, typed about words that are usually supposed for Kazakh learners. Like as I said, string, text, think, this, sheep, and comfortable, and so on. I recorded the number of mistakes and then each student's practice for just 10 minutes. For just 10 minutes in the FSP. The application highlighted their mistakes and gave a percentage score. And after the practice, the students repeated the same words. Their pronunciation improved instantly. For example, one student who had five mistakes reduced them to two, and another student went from four mistakes to just one. And on average, their pronunciation improved by around 60%. In conclusion, Kazakh learners often struggle with English vowels, consonant clusters, and the word stress. Understanding these difficulties can help teachers provide targeted practices with more, for clear and more natural pronunciation. And the experiment also showed that apps like As I Speak can support quick improvement through instant feedback and visual guidance. And since these challenges are linked to listening exposure, I recommend that schools to improve and insert more listening and pronunciation activities, use phonetic exercises and check-ups so immediate feedback and encourage students to record themselves and practice aloud to build confidence. Mastering pronunciation is not only about speaking native, but also about being understood and confident in conversation. That's all I want to questions.
What is the aim of your work?
Aim to understand the chronological differences among among Kazakh learners as about
Feel free, learning. Yeah. So, when I ask myself why speaking for me is it's really hard, I thought about other people, how they are feeling about your speaking from people or maybe the native speakers in English. So, my aim was to understand and reduce them for feeling more free when they are speaking. Also, grazie a partecipazione presente, conti, quotidiani. Delle presenze di qualche project on story API and the success, my past success. The topic of the project is how artificial intelligence supports learners in preparing for international English exams by improving their spelling systems and learning transcripts. Utilizing sources and also the challenge-based interpretation, such as trust, feedback, and communication practice, and aims to investigate whether AI can offer a smarter learning path. The goal of the project is to explore how artificial intelligence supports learners in exam practice, focusing on writing and speaking skills. The object of research is AI-related tools. I emphasize that students who practice with AI to higher scores when they take the same mock exam. The practical significance of this project is that the aggregate platform journalists that help them detect their mistakes, work on areas, and measure progress in objectively. The study also shows the educational value of AI as a supporting aspect for independent assessments. Modern language examinations such as Aristotle ongoing English test evaluate an integrated set of linguistic competences, including writing, speaking, listening, and reading. Effective preparation uses assessments for systematic development of vocabulary, grammar accuracy, and the ability to apply language skills in context. Recent research highlights the learning role of artificial intelligence in language learning. AI to facilitate personalized learning paths, clarification of complex grammatical structures, generation of target practices and mock tests, automated error analysis, immediate feedback, and accelerated vocabulary acquisition through interactive techniques. For the practical part of my project, on February 2025, I conducted a learning experiment and served to test the impact of AI in language preparation. Results messages say that they look for eyes. For students to learn and students to my classmates use AI to study English and prepare for exams, and therefore I conducted another question. The results show that students use AI for writing help, professors use AI for speaking, students use AI for listening, and one student doesn't use AI, but he's interested to try it. Students and each mock benefit without AI support. Therefore, becomes a baseline for comparison. Many students struggle with vocabulary, grammar accuracy, and fluency, and most do not confidence in how to find and correct their mistakes. After the first exam, I embedded my preparation results.
This guide explains how to use AI tools for improving vocabulary, correcting grammar, and using practice speaking with feedback, competency, and pronunciation. Students use this guide over H weeks practicing regularly with AI generated tasks and analysis. After 8 weeks, I conducted another survey, and as you can see, two students improved their scores. One shows more progress and one shows. Similar. However, all of them say that practicing with AI is more interesting and comfortable. Please estimate my sketch. I included the assessments in my research. I report my own speech and the system will evaluate means, pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary use. This I have two essays on language levels. The system evaluates grammar, vocabulary range, coherence, and clarity. Such translation. The system evaluated and gave me advice so I can improve my speech in the future. Our scores 5.5 and 6.6. Intelligence speech. What is it about? I just say. So the first global essay, and the system evaluated, and this essay received a score as 4.0, 4.5. It results in words. More than 200 countries. The second goal, high level stage, receiving 4 as 5.5 and 6.0. So this is how we use AI for improving writing. After analyzing the results, we can conclude that using AI in language learning help students save time and improve their language skills. The conclusion here. In conclusion, the use of artificial intelligence in preparing for exams English exams proved to be effective and one of the method of learning. So I have chosen the target for this project. It's important. These are questions. We will allow students to represent AI and leads the foods or giving IELTS results, etc. So it makes your work to stand out. The Nancy also emphasizes in the fact that she is investigates but almost due to artificial intelligence for preparation, but also real repetitive test results. More excellent training source and for analysis practice by creative guides. It also demonstrating measurable progress through AI-based assistance in academic language environment. This is my suggestion. Yeah,
was purely being oriented and many part of the television. little. Good evening, welcome to all judges. My name is Madame Lizada. I'd like to introduce you to the scientific project called Innovative Pathways Solutions. This project analyzes common innovative foreign language learning patterns, aiming to make the process more engaging, effective, and accessible for all age groups. Research hypotheses suggest that combining innovative tools with traditional methods yields higher level acquisition than just classical approaches alone. More of the research is not studying theoretical process, analyzing existing methods, comparatively assessing their effectiveness, and drawing conclusions on integration into education. This project, and I personally view innovative pathways as a complement to a system that identify effective method combinations for language competence. Now I'm going to talk about some methods that I actually used in my research. First one on mobile applications. Mobile applications have revolutionized language learning, offering more flexible, accessible, and personalized experiences. They also allow individuals to study at their own pace, which makes it available to a wider audience. Despite all these benefits, mobile applications cannot fully replicate human interaction in cultural contexts, and over-relying them can actually cause the limit of your research exploration. Next, media and entertainment. Media and entertainment provide authentic language experience. Music, films, and videos expose learners to natural conversations in real life vocabulary, bridging the gaps between classroom studies and real practical use. I personally view this method as one of the most underrated methods on the list. Only spending from 10 to 60 minutes a day, not only just studying, but listening to music, watching films, and videos in foreign language, it can increase your speaking and understanding ability by far. And as a bonus, you will improve your fluency, pronunciation, memory, and confidence as well. Not only students have learned such results while studying using this method, but they also often find this method insane, which means they are less likely to get bored throughout the education and more likely to stay consistent with it. Now we are going to talk about research and to the lab totality research hypothesis. So it's that was 20 students. The aim was to understand the use and perception of innovational versus traditional methods. And as you can see, that only a minority of students, as expected, to primarily rely on traditional textbooks and studies, which is again strongly supports the research assumption that innovative pathways significantly increase effectiveness and motivation. To eventually eliminate all your questions, the second study was made by two to three students that told each one to study a whole month, using only one study method. And as we can see, the student A was told to study a whole month using only traditional textbooks and slides. Student B, on the other hand, relied only on the innovation methods. And student C is the only one who used combination of these two methodologies. And as we can see, the student A got significant improvement in his vocabulary. His speaking ability stayed almost the same, which is due to the lack of real life experience. Student B, on the other hand, had a lot better results on his speaking ability, but his grammar and vocabulary lacked in attention. And the third student, the student C, is the one who absolutely does the other two. His grammar, vocabulary, speaking, and overall development was almost as twice as better than the other two. So as a practical outcome of my scientific project, I created a Telegram bot that is designed to help people to assess and improve their English proficiency. Book provides level checking tests for beginners to learn grammar, vocabulary, and reading these materials. This development proves that Canadian path methods can be successfully used not only in theory but also in real life. You can check this application by yourself for the easy English blog on Telegram or simply scan the QR code I've given you this. So you might think that I created the Telegram bot as a one-time action and just boost my scientific project. But in reality, I'm hiring a lot of developers for my bots, such as class speech recognition, cultural immersion models, community features, advanced progress tracking, and multi-language support. The aim of these developments is to make my bot more popular and widespread application and to help people improve their English functions. So in summary, as a conclusion, this project has shown that the modern technologies offers powerful opportunities for English learning. Therefore, I think that I reached my goal of improving the research assumption and integrating novelty into English learning. I'm done. Thank you for the attention.
Okay, now what is the scientific novelty in your research?
As you can see, as you've seen, most of the students research only one particular on only one certain method, and I research bunch such as communities, AI tutors and chatbots, gamification of learning process, and the other mentioned mobile applications and media and experience. So this type of education is widespread, but not in Kazakhstan. I already seen countries like America that are using AI tools and community features to study, but not to study foreign language.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Yeah. I really don't know about the meetings in each of these. Yeah, we should see. We should see. We need a meeting.